heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, well now, this is going to be a bit weird for me. So, I'm not sure how long it has really been, but if anyone is looking at this video and looking at the post date, then this is roughly the day after I went on hiatus. I am going to be pre-recording what ifs. In fact, quite a lot of people in my Discord and I talked about it. I'm going to be doing this, and well, if you guys are here watching this, I'm going to assume I've already firebombed your phone with notifications. Since whenever I do plan on coming back, I'm going to basically unprivate all these videos, then post a lot of the other videos. That way everyone basically gets bombed that, hey, this channel is active again. Then it's, oh shit, all these videos, where'd they come from? Have they been here this whole time? Yeah. Anyways, this is still new to me. It actually does take out the interacting with people after they've watched my content part, though, which I actually do kind of enjoy. Well, I actually really enjoy talking with you guys. Anyways, now, let's continue. Whenever we last left off with this series, Midoriya, him, Momo, and Toru, they have encountered the resistance. And Midoriya, he had a bit of fun. He fought with a man he thought was Bakugo, finding out that it was actually Monoma, a man with a copy quirk. Midoriya could simply try using and copying his quirk, but it's useless. Quite simply because you basically have to battle against someone who uses their own quirk. And Midoriya can simply just copy someone's quirk just by looking at them and seeing what they do. He can copy it, improve it, and even alter it to whatever he wants. So, Monoma's quirk, in his eyes, is a pile of dog shit. Now, Midoriya does actually wake up today, climb out of bed, and, well, is surprised by a knock on his door. It being Sayako and Telly, along with a few men from the agency. Now, they simply have a piece of sensitive information Midoriya needs to look over and actually try to explore. Midoriya being confused. Momo and Toru and Mei at least hearing Midoriya talking to someone. As soon as these three do pop around the corner and try and talk with her, it does actually surprise Telly. She forgets that those three live with Midoriya. In fact, it's quite weird actually in her eyes. Simply just asking exactly why do they share this place. Midoriya just saying, it's simple. Here, if they're close knit and stay together, they can protect each other and cover each other's backs. Especially after the resistance tried to put a bullet in my head and invaded a safe house we had a month later. So, we're painting a target on our backs by quite simply hiding in plain sight. Besides, it's quite simple. Midoriya is saying, as he points towards the glass and fires out a large beam of light. The light immediately just hitting the glass and bouncing off of it, as a large pop can be heard. Midoriya just saying that that is bulletproof glass. You would need a very powerful rifle just to bust through it, let alone crack the surface. And hell, pretty sure I'm the only one in this room, even in this city, who could. Now, exactly what are these files you want to go over? Well, actually, here. Her simply just holding it up and telling him to take a look at this and then come in. In fact, she does have to be in early herself. She does have to look upon some of Miss Hatsume's earlier designs for a project. May just asking if her project, well, if it's quite simply the suit. To which Intelli says yes. There are many safeguards that need to be put in place. And after a pilot basically snapped his back in the last test run, yeah, they're not doing another test run for about ever, really. She's going to look them over and redesign schematics. Then they are going to do a simulation. In fact, I believe Midoriya should be the first one to try on the suits. Why? Because if I explode, incinerate, blow up, die, what? I just come back? The reality benders rewind me or whatever? Actually, funny choice of words. That file actually does contain that word. Really? Midoriya actually being a bit curious. Opening the file and looking down. As he does see, it is about a roughly young child. In fact, it actually does seem pretty odd. Looking at this. Her name, Eri. That somewhat sounds familiar. Has he ever heard of this person before? Whatever. Cork. Rewind. Upon simulated test and apparent test, she has a unique ability. Her Cork training in her assigned classes is specifically about controlling and doing what she can. Apparently, she has the ability to rewind living organisms. And, well, possibly shapeshift matter. That catches Midoriya's attention. It's a theoretical idea, and he's guessing they're calling him in to make that theory a definite reality. Now, Midoriya, he actually does get changed. And he basically teleports them all to the organization headquarters. I was going to say bureau for some reason. Then again, I think those words are the same. Now, Midoriya, he simply just begins walking through walls and basically following where he knows he needs to go. If he needs to fall, he simply just faces his feet first and then goes down, allowing himself to fall. He goes down 3 levels, walks through a couple hallways, through a couple walls, basically through rooms, and roughly gets to the place they have this child at. Or I guess you could say teenager, really. The girl is 12 years old, and they do have her here. She is simply sitting in a room. In fact, it does look like a testing lab. And they do inform Midoriya that it is good that he is here. They would like him to test her abilities and see exactly what she can do. She claims that her abilities are dangerous, but from what we know about her mother, we, well, don't really see these type of mutations. Apparently her family quirk is different from her own. Really now. Well then, Midoriya says bending down. Simply just asking this young girl if she can show off her quirk. Why? Well, quite simple. The Bureau would like to see it, and test out its capabilities. But, I'm not too sure. Well, it's not that you don't need to be sure. That is why I'm here. You don't believe you can control your abilities, do you, Eri? How do you know my name? Well, I was given some information about you. In fact, well, your quirk does seem somewhat similar to mine. Really? Oh yeah. My quirk, it allows me to basically be, well, any quirk. Midoriya simply just telling her to name a few quirks. And he will quite simply have them. He will actually show them off. And Eri simply just states a fire quirk. Midoriya igniting his hand. An ice quirk. Midoriya's other hand turning, well, blue. And beginning to frost over and freeze the air in the room. Before she continues to list off a few things. 5 minutes later, you do have Midoriya. Basically a giant, well, hunchback. Since he's so tall, he has to hunch over in order to not pierce through the ceiling. And Eri just keeps listing off quirks. Midoriya simply just turning back to normal. As he shrinks down, he tells Eri that that is enough. And he simply just asked her if she can show off her quirk. In fact, I believe that if I can see it and use it in action, that I may get to understand it better. And I can then better help you. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Go at your own pace. Midoriya is simply just saying. Eri looking at the thing in front of her. They want her to, well, show off Rewind. And they do have a very, very old animal. The animal is set to be put down because it's very, very sick. And Eri, yeah, she doesn't really want that. Simply just trying to use her quirk. As her hand does begin to glow. Her reaching out with it and waving it over the animal. As a strange power comes off of her horn. And she begins to try and use it. Midoriya is simply just watching as the dog that is old and gray, or, well, let's say it's a dog, yeah. It slowly, well, gets color back in its fur. And its eyes go from, well, a bit, what's the best word? Wrinkled and tired looking, to more smoothened and, well, energetic looking. Eri, she keeps going. And Midoriya watches as she turns the dog almost into a puppy. It looks to be relatively, from what he can see, as if it was just 7 to 8 months old. It's actually quite astounding. Eri simply just turning to Midoriya and at least looking down at the ground, asking if she did good. Midoriya just saying yes. In fact, she did very well. He can already see ways to use this ability. In fact, well, I think that you would be a very, very good agent. An agent? Yes, Midoriya says, with a little bit of a smile, saying that the reason why he is an agent is because of his family history. Do you want to know what I am? Okay, you're very nervous. Midoriya says, as he takes her out of the testing chamber, telling the doctor that they will run more tests later. For right now, he is going to show, well, basically explain everything to this young girl. As he walks out of the testing chamber, you have Momo, Toru. They go along with Midoriya. May simply just argue with Intelli over some designs, and exactly why the project is not that bad. Now, Midoriya then takes Eri into a room and asks her exactly what is her favorite food, or what is her favorite meal. and she simply just says what it is. Midoriya leaving, and then returning roughly about 30 minutes later, with food for everyone, as they begin to sit down and eat. Midoriya beginning an explanation. Whenever he was 4 years old, as we'll cut back roughly 16 years, to Midoriya, the new world he found himself in. As far as he knows and what's in his file, they told me that at the age of 4, I was quite simply an anomaly. In fact, I didn't know a lot of things. I was quite simply seen as a street rat. And, well, a freak. Midoriya is saying that his mother died in childbirth. He never got to meet the woman. In fact, it actually is quite, well, an odd thing to think about. I wish I had memories of her. Was she kind? Was she caring? That's something I want to know. Midoriya is simply just thinking. He slowly trailed off for a second, getting back on the topic. After that, he tried to stay with his father. But his father, yeah. He was a part of the resistance. And he couldn't keep himself away. Eventually, after time discovering Midoriya had a quirk, he was abandoned. However, his father made the wrong call. Midoriya's quirk he thought was useless at the time, since Midoriya manifested random quirks. As far as he knows, he had something like, what is it? Eyes coming out of his head, fire coming out of his ear. What was it? A second mouth that screamed? Doesn't really matter. He thought my quirks were just weird and obsolete. Even then, they would either be taken, or I'd just become a pawn for the agency, if I was found. No way to serve, no way to be probably a spy, without looking normal. Then, I was abandoned. I don't know where I ended up. But the people there quickly found me to be odd, to be strange. All the kids simply were devoted. They either had a faith or they wanted to be an agent. They wanted to hunt down the rebellion. People who have been fighting this war for far, far too long. Midoriya going on to state that whenever he was at the age of 4, they finally, after a long time of him trying to get it diagnosed, actually looked at his quirk. Midoriya thought it was weird, and he didn't really think anything of it. Sometimes when he saw a kid's ability, he would accidentally use it. But he was always close with the kid, so it never made any sense to him as to why it happened. Until whenever he got his test performed, the agency immediately swooped in. Then, took him in. They gave him everything he wanted, everything he could dream of. They gave him money, training, power, and something to live for. In fact, if I probably never got that test done, then I'd probably still be there. Then again, there is a reason why those things are mandatory. Do you understand this, young one? Yeah. Well, I mean, my mother didn't really think much of my quirk. I just, well, showed up with a horn. So that's what they thought my quirk was. Then it got weird. I started to... No, it's okay. You don't have to share if you don't want to. Hell, I've probably told you more of my story in simply this past couple minutes than I've really shared with anyone. Then again, everyone outside this room knows me for what happened next. What happened next? I'm sorry, I don't believe that you're ready to hear that part. Anyways, now, I'm gonna be, well, teaching you and training you from now on. And hopefully, you turn out to be a proper agent. Do you understand that? Yeah, I think so. My mind, there's nothing to be nervous about. Besides, I'm sure you're gonna do fine. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And, once again, I do hope to see you all after my hiatus is over.